What's good? This is Elton Anderson Jr. And today there is no Detroit Chopra. I'm just talking. This is a whole Elton for this episode because we're getting to the root of and tutor of something. And I don't want to hide behind any personas, any alter egos. I just want to get to the facts. And today I have my good friend, recurring guest, soul brother, Oniel on the episode today. What's up, Oniel?
Yo, I'm ready to get to the facts. You feel me?
We're not playing with y'all because this was a conversation that me and him were having earlier. And if one thing about me, I'm gonna heal out loud. So whenever that's the way that I heal.
Mm,
If I have something that is bothering me and something that is and I know other people can relate to, I'm gonna talk about it. That's how I built this whole brand. Just literally sharing my journey as I learn, I share, as I grow, I share, and as I heal, I share. And right now, uh, I am being the victim of some gaslighting.
mm.
And one thing about me as well, I ain't nobody's victim. So me and O'Neill is gonna talk this out, and we're gonna hopefully use this conversation to help you all to recognize if you are being gaslit or not, because it is one of the most venomous, manipulative things that can ever occur to you.
Mm.
So, O'Neill, you ready to chit chat?
Let's chit chat. I mean, look,
What's
for
up?
me, I didn't even look up the definition or like, because it just was an experience. Like I learned it firsthand. It came from witnessing it. And then when you witness something from a higher level of awareness, you start to look back at your life like, oh, I can see exactly when
Mm-hmm.
my dad did it. I can see exactly when my teacher did it. I can see all these moments where people tried to manipulate me and manipulate my view on reality in
Yep.
order to serve their construct so their construct doesn't get destroyed by your truth.
T- Talk about it. And that's the thing about gaslighting, because gaslighting is so bad because it's usually done by somebody who loves you or
Mm,
think they love you. So it's usually a close friend, it's usually a family member, it's usually a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. A lot of people that are super close to you will always be the ones that gaslight you, because a complete stranger, a hater on the internet, a troll, they can't tell you about yourself. You won't agree with it. But it's the people that are close with you that will have you agreeing with their opinions and judgments and realities about you. So we didn't give a proper definition of it, because I know gaslighting for me, I was like, what does that mean? I don't get it. I don't understand.
mhm,
So let's start with a definition, and then we could break it down into signs of gaslighting, how we've been gaslit, and how to deal with somebody who's gaslighting you and how to heal from it, because it's a very painful thing. And I've been through it before, and I'm currently going through it now, but they ain't about to get me. They're not. They're not about to get me. So
mhm,
gaslighting defined is a form of emotional abuse that's seen in abusive relationships. It's the act of manipulating a person by forcing them to question their thoughts, memories, and the events occurring around them. A victim of gaslighting can be pushed so far that they question their own reality.
mm.
Mm, mm. Let's just fight.
Oh,
Let's just fight.
because at this point, what are we supposed to do after that? Like,
Let's just fight. So what I'll do is I'll start talking about my current situation, and then you could jump in about yours. So my current gaslighting situation is occurring with a very close friend. And
mm,
um, it happened before with other close friends. And so what gaslighting does and how it makes you feel is it makes you question, because it is the difference for me. So like if somebody came to me right now, if even a friend, even a close friend was like, Elton, you smoke crack. I would like, I don't smoke crack. So that's not the truth. That's not a truth.
mhm,
But what gaslighting does is it it goes, this person knows you so well, it goes deep, 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 deep into your doubts. It goes deep, deep, deep into the things that you are kind of worried about yourself, your insecurities. And so what they
mhm,
do is they will look at you and tell you insecurity about yourself that is not true. Because what this
mm,
person said to me is not the truth. but it is something that I doubted within myself. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I started to agree with it. This is just, and guys, this is real time conversation. This happened 2 days ago.
Mm,
And I found myself spending the last 48 hours. I'm like, well, maybe I did do that. Is this really the truth? And every time I asked myself, I was like, yo, I cannot agree with this. Because if I agree with what this person is telling me, then I will not be able to function as a podcast host. I will not be able
mm,
to function uh, uh, as the Elton that I'm becoming. It will really affect my entire purpose. So
mm,
that's why this particular gaslighting was so deep because it was making me nervous of walking in my purpose.
mm. Oh, listen. So I feel like this is so in alignment with like the greater scope of what's happening, even in terms of raising your consciousness, raising your vibration, shifting into new worlds. Even people who are just, getting a new job, or people that are just kind of leveling up their lives, you'll see how you, not even just you winning, but like you accelerating and you gaining momentum in positive aspects in ways that people didn't think or do not think is possible for themselves.
Mm,
It'll literally cause them to be like, this is wrong. I got to stop this unconsciously. A
mm,
lot of people do it unconsciously, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that do it purposefully. And there are people that can read into your energy, they can read into your body language, they know exactly where to touch you energetically in order to get you to fold to match their reality. And that's the reality for especially a lot of women. Like men will try to convince women to stay with them because you ain't gonna find nobody else, and
yeah.
all that whole agenda that men do. And it's like, yo, do you not see the whole game of manipulation being played? Like, you don't even benefit from this.
Yes.
People are so rigid in their own worlds that they're not even willing to step outside of that bubble of reality to see something better. So instead of trying to see something better, they'll be like, nah, I gotta bring Elton back down, because
Yeah.
nah, this is doing a little too much
He's
for me. He
flying
gotta,
too high. Like he getting all these
yeah.
views and he's getting all these other friends.
Mm-mm.
How has gaslighting showed up in your life, O'Neill? If you're willing
So
to
let's go
share.
there. Oh, you already know.
Cracks
You already
knuckles.
know.
Crack. Let me crack these knuckles and let's get ready.
Okay.
Let's crack
Stretch
back.
my neck out, hit this yoga pose, because we got to get it. So for me, to be honest, it showed up as my caretakers really playing a role in shaping my personality in such a way that was in service to upholding their emotional safety. So that looked like, like, oh, let me think of a real good example. Just shaping me into this people pleaser, into this emotional caretaker, because they weren't emotionally intelligent enough to really navigate my sensitivity. And you already know, like, my high intuition. And even at work, it's like, oh, Neil, like, you're so bubbly and you're so this, and this. We need you to do this. And it's like, okay, I don't think I'm that bubbly to the point where you want me to run the whole thing, like, or run the whole restaurant or whatever.
Mm.
And it just showed up in very subtle ways. And to be honest, I'm still figuring this out in real time too, because I didn't realize the amount of gaslighting and emotional manipulation until like this year,
Yeah.
until my healing really started to kick off and like manifest physically, where I'm like, oh, this is what healthy relating to somebody looks like without me trying to sacrifice myself to get my needs met. I'm like, oh, then that means the relationship that I had with them and them and them, that was just a play of me trying to get my needs met and somebody being willing to pay me energetically for sacrificing myself.
Mm. And I love that you brought up terms like energetically raising vibration and even leveling up, because
Mm-hmm.
I think if we can go into the mind of a gaslighter, right, for 1 second,
Mm-hmm.
a gaslighter, again, it could be conscious, but a lot of times it is kind of unconsciously they're doing it.
Mm.
I'm going to give them a little bit of compassion. I'm going to give
Mm-hmm.
the people that are gaslighters, that are gaslighting you, I'm going to give them compassion because, in some sense, they have an idea of you. They put you in a box, they put you on a level that is where their level of awareness is. So even if you're listening to this right now and you're going through a spiritual awakening, right? um, and you may start reading more books about consciousness. You may start getting into the law of one. You may start reading Eckhart Tolle. You may start reading the Four Agreements, and that's you tiptoeing into this. But if all of your friends are smoking weed and having sex and doing things like that, or even if your family member, your partner is really focused on Real Housewives of Atlanta or just doing the same things and doing Netflix and chill, and you want to do like, I want to learn about my chakras. I want to learn about my
Mm-hmm.
my own self. I want to remember who I really am. I want to remember my power. You may be in that place
Mm.
just trying to remember your power. And this person will start saying things like, "Oh, when you start getting to the moon and the stars, and why everything got to be birth charts, or why everything have to be about your consciousness, like you woke." And so then, even that term, even the bastardization of like calling somebody woke or saying somebody's conscious,
Mm-hmm.
we've gaslit that word in a sense of what is so wrong about being awakened to yourself? What is so wrong about being more conscious of the role you play in this reality, in this lifetime? And
Mm.
if anybody makes you feel guilty about that, or makes you feel weird for being interested in it, or makes you feel like you've changed, bitch, yes, I changed. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. Like, why would I want to stay the same? And so
Okay.
gaslighters, like you said it so beautifully. Gaslighters want to keep you small enough to fit into their own reality because
Mm-hmm.
you're so close to them. If you step out of what their reality is, they're not ready. You're ready. You're ready to move. You're ready to grow. You're ready to be in your purpose. That person
Mm-hmm.
is only presenting their own self lack. They're projecting it onto you.
Mm.
So they're gonna see the lack within themselves, and they're gonna be unconscious of it. They're not gonna understand it, and they're gonna be like, "Well, I ain't about to sit in this lack alone, so I'm gonna keep O'Neal down in this lack with me."
Not me.
So,
Won't be able
I
to
mean,
get me.
what do you think about that, O'Neal, in terms of
Mm.
giving compassion or understanding to a gaslighter?
I think it's beautiful because one thing that I love is forgiveness. I love giving out forgiveness. I'm not a victim. I'm out of that paradigm. And I don't even villainize people
Yep.
because the thing about this conversation is so important is that you have to take into context the world that we take into account the fact that there are systems and cultural designs in place that create narcissists, that create gaslighters, that create these quote unquote villains.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know where you are and you have to know who you're dealing with. Because sometimes it's like, oh, well, that's my dad, or that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend. But do you know who they are, or you just know that's your boyfriend, or you just know that's your girlfriend? You have to understand the bigger scope. That's why being aware is more important than any other of these flashy spiritual things. Like people don't just meditate so that we can, I always talk about law of attraction. So I can get that bay. I'm manifesting so I can get my dream bay. Manifest yourself so that you can be so aware that when somebody's coming at you with that type of energy, you know the exact signature you need to step into so that it's boop. I'm not even I'm not
you
even dealing with
you
this.
already forgiven them. They're like, "Oh, I see what you're trying to do. I don't agree with what you're trying to do, but I'm gonna forgive you because you know not what you do."
Exactly. It's literally operating from such a level of awareness that you're out of the they did this to me and I'm the victim and you step into I'm everything. And so how did I play a role in this even coming to me? How did I play a role in this creation?
Mm,
Not to say that I chose this for myself, but to say, how can I heal from this paradigm? because it happened and it came to me. So what is there? What are the lessons? When you can get the lessons out of it, it's so much easier to forgive. Because once you get those lessons,
Mm.
your higher self already knows everything. Your higher self already got the lesson. So once you master the lesson and you embody it, boom, you step into higher self mode. So you already clearing out.
So you want to turn this episode into a bar exam, huh? You just want to give the bar. You just-
Who would we be? Who would we be if we didn't tell the truth on this podcast?
that's all we got. And I really want to dig into that victim and villain paradigm. Like we really we
Mm,
gotta sit in this
mm,
because think about it like this: every victim needs a villain, and every villain needs a victim. It's the polarity. It's the polarity for me. And when you look at that paradigm, you understand that you have to step outside of that victim consciousness. You have to step outside of that victim consciousness because if you consider yourself a victim, then you are literally creating a villain. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? We are all the ultimate creators. You are the creator of your reality. And when you start
mm,
taking responsibility for everything that happens to you, and I'm so
mm,
happy you brought up the forgiveness. When you start taking responsibility for everything that happens to you, I'm talking everything. I'm talking like I'm not going to give examples because I'm talking everything. So that
mm.
everything is an example.
Yeah.
And when you start saying that, oh, I'm not the victim of this, and you extract that lesson and you say, oh, I created this because I needed to level up. I needed to learn this. I needed to get out of this because if you don't learn the lesson, what's going to happen? You're going to keep taking the test.
Mm,
That test's going to keep coming. It's going to keep coming. And you're going to keep having to take the exact same test by different people. So
mm,
I know I'm looking at my situation now where I'm being gaslit by a close friend. And I'm like, oh, it's test time. Let me get on my little Scantron and let me learn. I'm like, okay. Like, and I see, and for me, I was talking to another guest, and I talked to you about this already, but I talked to another guest, Rafaela Silva, who did the 3D and 5D consciousness. And
mm,
we were on a meeting because we were presenting some new things for the listeners. And I was telling her, I gave her like a quick overview. She was like, "Oh my gosh, Elton, I'm so happy for you." I was like, "What?" I was like, "This is hurtful." And she said, "No, that just means you're ascending. Like this is another ascension for you." So I want to tell
yes.
whoever's listening, like, if you're being gaslit, if you're being tested, if you're being tested to look at your doubts that somebody else is telling you, and you even think about agreeing, then that means that this is a time to find your power and remember that your destiny is in your hands. The life you're trying to
Mm,
create is up to you, and there's no victim or villain. You're the hero.
hmm. And don't be afraid to step into that hero version of yourself. Sometimes, like I was just talking to a client for a reading today about, I was asking her, like, what is your higher self doing right now? Like, if you could envision your quote unquote best version of yourself, what are they doing? And she was like, well, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know. I was like, it could be as simple as smiling more. It could be as simple as I'm laughing more. Like, allow yourself to envision the version of you that can handle the challenges that's coming up with ease. Envision that energy, call in that energy. We are literally the creators. That means your imagination is literally the fuel, the bank of infinite wealth and knowledge. You can think of something, it'll pop up right in front of you. So, what does that mean about yourself? If you can create yourself, you might not feel like the person you need to be to handle this, but that doesn't mean that you can't create the you that you need to be. You have that power. And the word remember,
That's our
there's
word.
such a, I'm telling you, yo, it's such a difference between learning about yourself and remembering who you are. Because when you learn something, that implies that you didn't know. But when you remember something, you're just uncovering something that was always there that you always knew. That it's a subtle shift. That's why you gotta, bruh, in these streets, you gotta pay attention to the subtle energy.
Yes.
Things will communicate very specific energy signatures to you, like the difference between safety and protection.
Yes.
Like you think you have to protect yourself because something's coming for you. Oh, something coming for me. Oh God, versus I'm safe. It's like you have to be aware of the subtlety
Yeah.
of body language, facial expressions, that moment of shift when somebody is talking to you and then they kind of like,
Hmm.
hopefully y'all can feel me. We can get energetic here. When they
Right.
do
If
that
you
kind
if
of
you
like that.
listening, because he's really pantomiming a lot of energy, and I hope they can feel it. You,
They can feel me.
I'm gonna put it
They
on the
know.
YouTube. I'm gonna put it on the YouTube channel so they can watch this too.
It's like when somebody kind of like jerks back, like, what you talking about? But they try to hide it. It's like you gotta pay attention to that. And don't be afraid to go deeper in yourself. Because a
Mm,
lot of times the things that's showing up is a call for you to go deeper because you're already your purpose. It's not like you're finding anything. We're not looking for anything outside of us. That's old news. We're going in and we're saying, oh, this is showing up because I need to be ready for where I'm going because I called that in. So of course I have to be in mastery mode. And then boom, that's empowerment. That's just simple empowerment. Like, don't be afraid to boss up for yourself.
you are already your purpose. Jazz
Mm,
mirrored that sentiment on the last episode, called You Are
mm,
God. You are already your purpose. And I can hear that for the rest of my life. Like that is the
mm-hmm,
strongest, that is such a strong, simple sentence. You are already your purpose.
mm.
You ain't gotta find it. Ooh, let me write that down because you know y'all be playing. So O'Neill,
Mhm,
so as we keep going, and this is going to be a pretty short episode because I want people to just get this, and we're not going to spend all day on this. So I
mhm,
want to go through this article I found on Psychology Today, and it says 11 warning signs of gaslighting. Because I want to talk about the psychological effects of it. I'm not a
mhm.
psychologist. Are you a psychologist? I don't know if you
I
are,
am not incorrect.
but we are somebody that are that. So we're talking about this. We're talking about gaslighting from an awareness place. But
Hmm.
I do want to touch on the psychological place, and we can go through
Absolutely.
these. So these are some of the 11 signs. So they tell blatant lies, um, and you're hearing it's like this ain't the truth, but this person loves me, so that's the problem. Because you're like,
Mm,
this, you are in a relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, friendship, whatever, familial, you are in a relationship with this person, and they're literally telling you a lie. But
mm,
in some instances they may believe it. You have to be so
mm.
authentic to yourself that you know, like, you ain't about to tell me it's raining and you peeing on me. So the next one is they deny they ever said something even though you have proof. I went through
Mm.
this. Have you been through this?
I don't think I have.
You're beautiful. You're living a charmed life. I have went through. I have had an event where there were literally 17 people, 17 eyewitnesses, and the gaslighter was like, "I ain't never say that." And I was like, "But there's 17 people that
Mm.
saw it." Anyway, um, they use what is near and dear to you as ammunition.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, so you
Yeah,
already
I
know
know
what that
that one.
looks like. You know what that looks like. They will take something that they know is your button, like you said earlier. They know something that is your weakness, and they'll use it because that is their tactic. They're like, I have to get this person to stay in this
Hmm.
box.
So they reach for that anchor, just like triggers. Triggers are essentially when you have a little anchor, a little handle that somebody can snatch up real quick. That's why your energy field is literally like a, think of it as like it's kind of holding things. It's holding your truths, it's holding your dreams, your beliefs, your unconscious everything. So even though you might be unconscious to it, that doesn't mean somebody else can't see it.
Hmm.
So when you have that anchor of like, I know this is gonna, and sometimes, like you said, people aren't always conscious of it. So they might be like, get them there, say that because this will make them feel me. And
Yes.
then as soon as you win that fight or flight, it's just the cycle.
Th- My gaslighter told me, I'm gonna just put it out there since we talking. My
Not my
gaslighter
gaslighter.
told me one of the things my current gaslighter told me. One of the many things this person said was, Elton, you're just too confident. You weren't this confident
Mm,
last year. What the fuck? Why would you tell somebody that they're too confident? I could not deal with that. So that was
mm,
because I wasn't confident last year. I was so still trying to heal and still trying to learn myself, and it made me really have to find the power to disagree with that because again,
mm,
in the places that we're all stepping in, we're all stepping into something new. No matter where
mm,
you are in life, where you're listening to this from, you are stepping into something new, and you have to be confident. And confidence, to me, comes from authenticity. Because if you're doing you,
mm,
if you're not, you can't have imposter syndrome if you're being yourself. If you're being truly authentic.
mhm,
So I think for me, that was the lesson I got. I said, well, I have to be confident because I'm just being Elton. So, it didn't really get down on me. The next one is they wear you down over time. We've seen that. Their actions do not match their words.
mm,
Oh, this is the one I hate. They throw in positive reinforcement to confuse you.
mm.
So they
Yeah.
may say something to tear you down, and then they'll hit you with, no, but I really love what you're doing. Like, no, really keep going. But
Mm.
they plant a seed. They plant a seed of like, but you may not be able to really do that because you don't.
Yeah, that oh man. That's why you gotta, I'm telling if y'all don't take nothing from this episode, pay attention to the subtlety for your own sanity. Not even to be hyper vigilant or protective over yourself, but just for your own sanity, like be aware of those little ways that people, because somebody could be telling you the truth about yourself in a safe container and be
Yes.
like, but you're doing amazing and I really do believe in you. And somebody can say the exact same words with a different energy.
Hmm.
It's that subtle. That's why you have to be aware of what's going on.
And I was talking to Justin, my buddy Justin, who was out here in Bali, and he
Mm,
said something. I was telling him this story, and he brought up something that was very important. He said, "There's a lot of toxic friends, but there's this one toxic type of friend that people don't really look out for." And he was saying, like, if you got somebody that's always fighting or cursing or always causing drama, we all know, like, oh, okay, I don't want to hang around him or her. But
mm,
there's a toxic friend that you really need to watch out for, and it's the skeptical friend. Somebody that's always
mm.
skeptical about what you're doing. Like, oh, Oniel, you really can do energy readings? Like, what is that? Or, oh, you want to just move out of the country? What is that?
Mm,
And it's a lot of times the skeptical friends that always question your new levels is super
mm.
toxic. And if you step up too fast, then they will start gaslighting because they don't want you to ascend too high without them. Um,
It's levels to this.
so number seven, they know confusion weakens people. Number eight, this is the one. They project.
Mm,
People will project all of their lack on you. They will they want you to match their lack. They want you to match their scarcity mindset. They want you to
mm,
match their fear. And anybody listening to this podcast, you love yourself. We're not matching lack no more. We're not in the vibration of fear. We
mm.
love ourselves over here on the Detroit Chopra podcast. That's what I'm trying to tell
Yes. And it's interesting because your subconscious is always looking for proof of your beliefs.
you. Hmm.
So it's easy for, if you're unconscious, to be like, okay, I just need somebody to confirm because I ain't got no money. So
Hmm.
why is this working out for this person? Like that got to be fake. Boom, projection. Like it's mm. This one hit. This episode kind of hitting a little
This
different.
episode kind of hit a little different. Number nine, they try to align people against you. Been there.
Mm,
Because they get everybody else to like, oh, do you think Elton's acting different? Like, I was just saying, me and Elton are super close, but I feel like he's da 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 da. And then they'll plant that seeds in other people's heads. So then everybody's like, you know what? You're right. they trying to change the lens of how people see you because they don't want you to go too far.
Mm.
They tell you or others that you are crazy. Call me crazy because I believe in myself. And finally, they tell you everyone else is a liar. So anybody that gives you positive reinforcement,
Mm.
they're like, that person is lying to you. Like, can that is what this particular gaslighter did to me. Told me that people that were giving me positive reinforcement, people that were listening to the things that I was doing, this person told me that they just trying to tell you what you want to hear.
Mm.
How horrible is that, O'Neill?
Honestly, it's making me feel even more compassion because I'm considering the fact that like where does your consciousness have to be at? What state do you have to be in
Mm,
to consciously or even unconsciously want to make somebody question their reality, to manipulate somebody and not even to villainize it, but it's like it just I always start to really feel for this world, like the world that we live in, without getting too engulfed in it. It's just like it's so many things happening on so many different levels. It's like it just like to really put somebody under that mental scrutiny, because when you know what it feels like to have your mind pushed to a certain limit, when you know strong doubt, strong fear, strong self-hate, when you know what that feels like,
mhm.
it can almost feel painful to know that somebody in the world is benefiting off of that paradigm in somebody else. And that's why it's so important to step out of victim consciousness, not to be battling people or trying to be better, but it's like it's stepping out of that game because nobody wins
Nobody.
in that battle. Nobody's winning anything. It's not like the gaslighter is suddenly he's powered up and everything's working out. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's that's misery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's torture. Nobody's benefiting emotionally from that. And you just keep creating that cycle. And especially when it comes to family, like I had to start having compassion for my parents and my grandparents because I realized that just my existence alone was shattering ancestral timelines.
Come on, talk
Like
about it.
complete generations of we do this way and this is the tradition. And yes, my mother did it. I passed down to. And I'm just like, respectfully, it doesn't work for me. I'm choosing my own path. Suddenly, that cognitive dissonance is like, even if they know what I'm saying can have truth and have proof, that strong, rigid belief says, no, nope, that's not true. And this is what it is because I'm not willing to change my beliefs. That's why, even going down to neuroscience, neuroplasticity is so important because that's how you navigate new beliefs. That's how when you get older and you get older in age, that's how you're able to still change. Like the lie is that you get to a certain age and you're just gonna be the same person forever.
Oh,
No,
can't teach an old dog new tricks. No,
right. That's
I'm
not
I'm
true.
touching on 40, and I have been living the last 2 years all new tricks.
It's literally that's why I don't stop changing. And that's why I hold people with compassion, but also simultaneously, because two things can exist at once, with compassion and accountability.
Hmm.
Because it's like, yeah, I know this is what you're used to, but you can't tell me that you're not willing to try to change. You can't tell me that you're not willing to see things. You're just going to keep using that same manipulation tactic. So that means I don't have energy to give you anymore. Because if I know my energy is currency, I know I ain't got money to spend on that. So,
Come the divine currency. Like you ain't about to get
okay.
this good. You're not about to get this good energy because whatever you give attention to is what will grow in your life. Like no matter
Mm,
what, let's call it the law of attention. Whatever you give attention to, and I know for me that I dealing with this gaslighting. Again, it's only been 48 hours and it was hurting me and I was like, I'm giving too much time. So that's why this
mm.
conversation, this podcast episode is I'm when I tell you as soon as I press in record on this episode, I am done. I am done. Like this thing is healed. this thing is it's a done bun, and uh, so I wanted to, I love these real time conversations because
Mhm.
these are the conversations that me and you have, and my other really good friends that help me, my really good pocket of friends that really help me get through these things. And I was just hoping that if somebody is going through gaslighting right now, to understand what it is, why it's occurring, why is that person doing this, and it goes beyond what somebody does or what somebody says. It
Mm,
could be who that person is.
mm,
And if that person is not an energetic match for the greatness that lies within you, you have
mhm,
to let that go. Just like you got to let go of any limiting beliefs, any doubts, you have to let go of those relationships too.
mm,
And you let go of it with love and forgiveness. That person is all. When I tell you this friend who may be a former friend is already forgiven,
mm,
it's just it makes you extract the lesson, just like you said. That it's the lesson in this. It has nothing to
mhm,
do about the act or the villain, quote unquote. It is literally the lesson, and it reminds you that you are indeed the hero of this story.
mhm. Yes.
Out here like super. What hero are you, O'Neill?
Um,
What you giving?
I'm God.
That's the he. I thought you was gonna start at Spider Man, but he said
Right.
I hear that you are the ultimate creator of your own life, and I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So, do you have any, as we close this out, do you have maybe any resources that people can go to besides? Because O'Neill's page is popping, so definitely check out his page or his Instagram page for these resources. But is there anything that people may be able to read or
Mm.
watch that could help them get through gaslighting?
Yeah, so I was thinking as you were talking just now, it would help people, maybe not in terms of videos, but checking with your inner child.
Mhm.
And when you start working with your inner child and embodying that energy, you'll start to see the places where you didn't get your needs met. And instead of trying to find somebody to give you the answers, you can go right to yourself and you can, look that way. But there are some like Miriam Hasnea. I love her work. She's an incredible person on the internet. The holistic psychologist, I think
Yeah.
that's her name. She talks a lot about this paradigm too, narcissism and all of that. And yeah, those are two off the top of my head, but I definitely recommend inner child meditations, working with yourself, really try to get those answers from yourself and then try to find the confirmation in the videos.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Start looking for those confirm. I love that you said that. It's the confirmations, and you
Mm,
want to find the positive confirmations. Like I knew I was that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta
mm,
you gotta look for that. And I think one of my friends just told me, Bernie, she was telling me that the book that I read years ago, but I think everybody should read is The Four Agreements. And
mm,
she particularly brought up the one about being impeccable to your word, because if you're impeccable to your word, then that means you're being authentic at all times. And this is to yourself. Like these agreements are not for the outer world. You have to be impeccable. You can't lie to yourself. So if I
mm,
know who I am without any doubt, if you know who you are without any doubt,
mm,
somebody anything that somebody says to you sounds like, oh, you doing crack. As outlandish as that sounds to me, like somebody come to me and say, Elton, you're on crack.
mm,
Something, if somebody is projecting or trying to keep you down from your power, it should be just as outlandish as you doing crack. And if you like
mm.
crack, go off, sis. But that ain't the metaphor that we're using today.
Mm,
O'Neill, thank you so much for recording this episode. I love these episodes because we both felt like, oh, we need to do this. And
mhm,
when we feel like that, then I think that is something that can help other people, because that is our intention. We're trying to inspire you to be,
Mm-hmm.
and reminding you to remember who you are.
Because you're already perfect.
You are already the purpose.
Mm.
That's all that matters. All right, O'Neill, where can they find you, brother?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok for now on TikTok at O'Neill Roll. It's ONIELROL. And I'm on YouTube as well. I offer energy readings, and I really like to talk about those subtle dynamics in relationships, a lot of empowerment, raising your vibration. And that's really my intention and my mission too, to really help raise the consciousness of not just my communities and my friends, but people all around the world. And just allowing yourself to know that you're already perfect. It's not a matter of we getting better. We're not self-improving anything. We're remembering that we're already perfect. So that's where you can find me.
Oh, I love that, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for listening. We will come back again. And also, I want you guys to start sending listener letters. I want to get into that. I
Oh.
want that energy. So if you have some questions that you want answered, please send them to Detroitchopra@gmail.com. And we're gonna start doing some Q&A things, and I really have the intention of turning this podcast into a master class. So every week we're gonna learn something, every week we're gonna heal something, and every week we're gonna evolve and grow. So thank you
Mm.
so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.